Brooke used to have a problem sleepwalking. She would love if she knew she could just sleep and stay asleep in bed, but unfortunately she sleepwalked and did very strange things while sleepwalking. One night Brooke got out of bed and walked down her stairs and down to the basement and did ironing while all in her sleep. Another night Brooke was driving for a few miles all in her sleep. Brooke was very lucky to have not have crashed her car. The thing is with sleepwalking is you should never wake anyone up from sleepwalking, because if you do, they will more than likely suffer confusion arousal. You might put them in more danger if you do wake them up. One night Brooke got up and while asleep walked down her road and into a local construction site. There was a crane and she climbed up the crane, a whole 150 feet high in the air. Brooke walked over the top of the crane while asleep and stood on the edge of it. Thankfully a policeman drove along and spotted her. He had guessed it was Brooke as he knew about her before from other incidents. He knew that if he called out to her, she would suffer from confusion arousal and more than likely would fall as a result. He didn't know what else to do but to call her mom. Lucky Brooke had her phone on her with her pyjamas, which her mom knew she used to do, just in case they couldn't find her after sleepwalking. Her mom rang, and because of her ringtone registering with her as something she knew and her mom's voice, she quickly woke up and thankfully she lived to tell the tale. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Sarah was always having hallucinations since she was a little girl. When she was at school, she used to frighten her friends, shouting, thinking there was monsters in the hall at school. But of course, there was never anything there. It was just her hallucinations. She always loved the idea of driving a bus, and once she had the chance of going for an interview for the job, she was so happy. Of course, she couldn't mention her condition, especially in a job where she would have to drive members of the public around. A few weeks later, Sarah was on the bus, and she felt a weird vibe off the driver. He seemed like a creep, and she could see him looking back at her in the mirror every so often. She felt very uncomfortable and got a shiver up her spine when he drove past her stop. She told him she rang the bell, but he kept driving, ignoring her. She screamed to him stop. Suddenly she felt nauseous and then realised she had got the job. She was not the passenger, but she was the driver of the bus that she was driving for her new job. She could hear the passengers shouting as the bus was driving so fast, and she had been screaming, thinking she was a passenger. The bus was driving so fast and was about to bash into a wall when she suddenly, thankfully, was able to stop the bus, thanks to the brakes working so good. She knew straight away her dream job was gone. She cursed her condition. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Simon is an established writer. He has a huge catalogue of books he has published. One day he is in his local bar drinking when a stranger walks up to him and introduces himself. "Hello, my name is Jack. I am a huge fan of your books. I've read them all, and I can truly say they are all amazing. There is not one book that isn't gripping from the start to finish." Simon smiled and said, "Well, thank you very much, Jack. It's very nice to get that praise. I'm glad you enjoyed my books." Simon got a strange feeling come over him. He wondered did he know Jack from somewhere, so asked him, "If you don't mind me asking, have we met before?" Jack said, "No, this is the first time I've ever met you, but I just moved into a new cottage about a mile away. I'm actually having a party for my friends to celebrate me moving in. I know this might sound weird, etc., but I would absolutely love if you could make an appearance. It's tomorrow night at around 8. Simon was going to say he was sorry he couldn't, but he said to himself, what the hell, he might as well make a fan happy. So he said, "Yeah, sure, it will be my pleasure. I'll be there around 8:30. Jack smiled and said, "Thanks so much. That means so much to me, and my friends will be so happy to meet you also, as they all love your books." Simon was at home that night, writing his latest book, and he kept thinking there was something familiar about him, but he couldn't put his finger on it. It was driving him mad, but he knew he just had to drop it, as he had to focus on his book, as he had a deadline of 3 weeks for his publishers to get it finished. The next night when Simon was driving to the cottage, with directions he was given by Jack, he was trying to put his finger on it again. Why did he think Jack was familiar? He arrived at his house, and Jack opened the door and asked Simon would he like a drink, while they waited for the guests. Simon said sure, that would be great. Simon was sitting on a sofa in the living room, drinking his drink, when suddenly he felt drowsy. A while later he woke up and he was tied to a chair. He had realised Jack had drugged him. Jack was looking right at him with a sinister smile and said, "Did it hit you yet, Simon? Surely the cottage would have given it away, and me being such a big fan." Simon kicked himself for being so stupid when it finally dawned on him. Jack was acting out a character from his first book, The Fan in the Cottage, where a crazed fan lured Simon to his house in the exact same circumstances. He could not believe how stupid he was, not realising what Jack was up to. He knew that the character in the book would shoot him. Suddenly, just as Simon expected, Jack held a gun to him, and Jack said, "You know how this story ends, but I've added a little twist." Then Jack untied Simon and handed him a gun. "You have a choice, Jack. Shoot me and kill me, or I shoot you. I don't want to live anymore, so what better way to me go than to be killed in the same way as my favourite book by my favourite writer?" Simon pleaded with him, no, 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 but after about an hour suddenly there was a gunshot. Jack's agent had escaped from a room he was locked in for the last few days and shot Jack, and explained to Simon that Jack could not deal with his book being rejected by him, and that is why all of this was planned. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. It started one night when I was waiting for the bus. There was a woman waiting next to me, humming a tune. It didn't really stand out to me as strange. She to me was just a woman humming a tune. Inside the bus she was sitting behind me, and she hummed the same tune. All of the bus journey, which was 20 minutes, she hummed it. I didn't find that strange either, really. Well, maybe just a tiny bit. But it was the next day I was waiting for the bus. I found it very strange. A different woman was at the bus stop, humming the same tune. I felt very strange knowing that it would be very unlikely two different women would be singing the same tune. Especially a tune that I never heard of. It might be kind of okay if there was a pop song that was being played on the radio morning, noon and night, but there was something strange about it. To be quite honest, it sent shivers up my spine. I knew it was the same tune as I was listening to it for the first night for so long, and sure enough, the woman sat behind me, this new woman, and hummed the tune all the way out. On the third night, I couldn't believe my ears and eyes, as once again a different woman was humming the song. This time I asked the woman, "Excuse me, do you know what song it is you're humming? It's just that there were different women humming that same song." The woman smiled and said, "It's just a song that popped into my head." The next night I was at the bus stop, and thankfully no woman was there humming. I was on the bus and strangely found myself humming the song. I tried to stop, but I kept humming again. I got out a newspaper to read, and when I opened it up, the 3 women hit me with the headline, 3 different women involved in a hit and run 3 different times. It was the woman humming the tune, and it was the other woman. Oh, it was all the women. Even saying this is absolutely crazy, but that's what it was. It was all the women. All the women who were humming the tune. I couldn't believe it. I felt a shiver up my spine. As I got off the bus, I was humming the tune again. I tried my best to stop, but then a car sped up and hit me and killed me instantly. Now I can see the other woman on the other side, and we have the urge to stand at bus stops humming into women's ears. Now I know the reason I start humming it. The ghosts hum in the ears of the living without them actually hearing it, but the spiritual hum goes into their subconscious, and once that happens, well then, they're a ghost sooner or later, like me, after being ran over, of course. It's a vicious cycle, I suppose, but I just couldn't resist humming, and getting other women to embrace humming. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content.